heroes of the privacy village who's helping me get this crazy organization done. And she helped me build amazing stuff. So thank you, Michala, in front of everyone. Thank you for all the support so far. And hopefully next year we will even get a bigger and better one. That's a promise on my end. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to these amazing people. Michala is actually a virtual CISO,
Mhm.
vCISO, yep, with a classical music background actually, and a true cybersecurity game master with 25 plus years in IT and a history as a game store founder. And she brings fresh perspective on security, and we're really excited to see what amazing knowledge she will spread on us today with her gamification, but not as you know it, slide. And hopefully Anna is joining us as well. And Anna is actually a learning design and storytelling powerhouse, drawing on neuroscience, learning science, and years of experience across industries and cultures. And she designs playful, learner-centered experiences that makes complex cybersecurity topics stick and hope actually change behavior. And they're both under the roof of Cybility in UK. So without further ado, Michaela, the stage is yours.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Matt. I know Anna's having a couple of technical issues, so she will be rejoining shortly. And hopefully we'll have microphone back with us then as well.
Perfect.
So thank you everyone for coming today. And just having a look here. So we've got Chris that's a DPO, education enthusiast. Awesome. Intro, brilliant. Okay, well, we do have a lot we're going to get through, but we are going to have quite an interactive session. So please do ask away in the chat or add your experiences, whatever, as we go along. That would be lovely. Thank you. Right, let me just move this on. So, gamification, but not as you know it. One of the things that I have been really kind of digging into over the past, I guess almost 5 years now with the Cybersecurity. Well, welcome back, Anna. Do we have microphone?
Almost.
While she's doing that, I'll just carry on. So with Cybersecurity, we are all about combining really my three loves. So cybersecurity, the music, as Mert mentioned earlier, my background's in classical music, and also gaming. Because I'm a big gamer, as you will learn in just a moment. So, first of all, I would like you all to close your eyes and then just listen to a little story. So, anyone who's played certain games will recognise stay a while and listen. Once upon a time, there was a data protection officer who was the quiet guardian of a very busy organisation, forever turning the balance between business tempo and people's privacy rights. Every day, they juggled subject access requests, risk assessments, and training sessions, trying to keep the whole orchestra playing in time with the law, while short-staffed and swamped with legacy systems as well. But one day, the organisation decided to launch a shiny new data-hungry service at breakneck speed, and suddenly everyone expected the DPO to just sign it off, whilst also handling an avalanche of existing compliance work. Because of that, the DPO found themselves working late into the night, firefighting incidents, explaining the same privacy basics on endless calls, and feeling like a solo pianist trying to cover an entire symphony orchestra. And because of that, they started to wonder whether anyone truly valued privacy by design, or whether they were simply seen as the Department of No, stuck in spreadsheets instead of shaping smart, human-centered protections. Until finally, on the day they joined a live session and saw the privacy genie appear on screen, they realized that they were being invited to imagine 3 bold wishes that could transform how they protect people's data. No judgment, no budget limits, just possibilities. And now I invite you to open your eyes again And here we introduce you to the genie. So he is offering you 3 wishes to make your work of honouring people's rights to privacy easier. And what we'd like you to do is think about what your first wish would be. And I'd like you to type it in the chat, but please do not press send until we say. And then we can all take a moment to read them together. So let's see, how many people have we got here? I'll give you, what about sort of 30, 45 seconds? And if you focus on your most important first wish.
So we are waiting.
Meanwhile, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yay!
we can, Anna. Hello.
Okay, so
Sorry, I need you to hit return too quickly.
don't worry, there's always one, don't worry. Okay, so hopefully that's enough time for everybody. In 3, 2, 1, press send. And let's see what you're all wishing for. So we've got improved digital literacy across the organisation, absolutely. Without it, DPO team can't do my job, absolutely, yeah. And I think the point about digital literacy is even more important than ever now with AI and adding on, AI literacy as well, which I think is really a core skill going forward. And then we've got improved awareness of individuals, consumers, especially around cyber hygiene and data privacy. So obviously I'm biased towards cyber hygiene and absolutely, just a little personal thing that I'm going to throw in today, actually. We've just moved to Norway and I got a little bit of a surprise last night. My husband's dad sent him a picture that was from the front page, well, not the front page, but a page in the local newspaper. And they live in like a town about 30 minutes away. And this photo was of our house saying, this is the name of the person who sold it to us. This is our name as buyers, and this is how much it was sold for. And this is when that happened. And I was just like, oh my God. Because coming from the UK, that level of public transparency, it is just like unheard of. And then, of course, they also publish their salaries and taxes, so everyone can look at everyone else's. It is at least locked now, which didn't used to be, but it's very different. So when we think about privacy, there's a lot of different considerations, I think, depending on where you are in the world and any sorts of cultural specifics. Anna, do you want to add anything to that from a Brazilian point of view?
I'm not sure, but also I think they also published your address, right? As far as my Norwegian. So it was the address, the house, the name of who is the new owner. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, still reeling from it. So I'm not sure if anyone else had time to write a wish or just weren't sure what to wish for. Admittedly, it was putting you on the spot a little bit. So let's move on then.
Yeah, I just one thing that I was going to say, like, what can we find, even though there are two answers, what is in common with these things? Who can guess? So improve digital literacy across the organization, improve the awareness of individuals, consumers.
So we're looking at the same perspective, I guess, but like Chris is an organizational perspective and I had more consumer oriented. So more individuals exercising their rights.
I would agree with you, Mert. I think they both apply because I just had a client call me in a care home setting and the residents, they were going to start helping residents create email addresses and save their passwords for them.
Oh
And
my
I
God.
just said, absolutely no. So, you know, this whole digital literacy, there's a different way of solving the problem. The problem needs solving because they need to access their information legitimately under GDPR through digital means, but not by the organization helping them create and keep the passwords of the email addresses.
Exactly.
So it's digital literacy in the organization and outside is both the problem in my view.
Perfect.
Absolutely. I agree with you there. And that's something that Cybersecurity we very much focus on, isn't it, Anna? And you'll hear more about that in our HACCP approach later on.
Yeah. And it's also about people, isn't it? It's about awareness, but also things for them to do or do less. So don't do this or do that. So it's about behaviors. We want people aware because they need to change the behavior, right? Yeah. So, okay. Thank you so much for the answers.
Okay.
Now,
So, Matt has already done quite an intro, so I will just focus very quickly on a few things that perhaps weren't in there. So, first of all, I am a big board gamer, and we have just 1 or 2 board games you can see from the collection there, and waiting for those to join us here in Norway. So, over the years, I've experienced lots of different types of techniques that are used in the games, you know, played with creating my own, and they're really a wonderful way of engaging people in that social interaction. And as a little aside, also role playing, which is like Let's Pretend for Adults, for those of you who aren't familiar, or like D&D. And I also, once upon a time, ran a computer game shop that I founded back in the 90s, Virtually Games, as you can see there. And all of these things, they all help develop different skills as well as acquiring different knowledge. And that's really one of the wonderful things I think that you get from gamers, and how we can use that to help engage audiences, whether it's people at work or at home, business at home. In terms of my background, I've worked primarily in years in local government as well as the retail side, NHS, and then I did 4 years at Marie Curie in the end-of-life healthcare charity, and then I founded Cybersecurity. And over the past 3-4 years, I was working forward to my Gamification Master's Craftsman badge, which I got with Sententia. So there's loads more we could say about gamification. Today's just going to dip your toes in, and over to you, Anna.
hi. First of all, apologies. I don't know if Michala shared, but I was here waiting for the meeting, and then at 3 p.m., my computer sent a message saying need to restart now or in 5 minutes. My only choice. So, and then it took a while for me to be able to set everything up again. Security, yeah. But yes, so Michala comes from the IT and cybersecurity side, and I come from a totally different background, from communications, and then I was a uni lecturer. So my passion is like on how to use the best techniques to make learning more effective. And that's why I arrive at gamification, playfulness. But yeah, also I am a board gamer, not other types of gaming like Michala, but I am a board gamer as well. So it's a way to join the two things. So yeah, I work with Michala at Cybersecurity to create playful and gamified cybersecurity training, and then I went on to do cybersecurity certification, like it says there. Yeah, okay, so now gonna ask your participation again on the chat, but again, do not put anything yet until we say so. We're gonna show you 3 sentences about gamification, and you have to identify which one is not is a myth, is not truth. So I'm gonna read them out loud as well. So you just put 1, 2, or 3, but don't press enter yet.
Okay.
So, number one, gamification can make privacy training stick by turning dull rules into quick, memorable choices people actually care about. Is this true or myth? Two, using games in privacy training always improves how well people protect personal data, no matter how it is designed. Or three, when we add playful elements to privacy workshops, the staff are more likely to talk about data risks and spot issues earlier. Okay, so which one is not true? Which one is the myth? 1, 2, or 3? Are you ready to press enter? And now, please. Okay, myth, true. Okay, well, okay, why? Does anybody want to come off the screen or put in the chat? Why do you think that's a myth?
Yeah, it's got to be designed well, as simple as that. We've developed a game as well, and we're rolling out now, and we don't get everything right first time, and you learn, and then you find a way to fix it, and you fix it, and it improves and gets better. So, number 2, it's absolutely clear for me.
Excellent, yeah. And the importance of play testing, it is, can't be unstated really, because there's always things that we take for granted and that other people will look at differently, especially when you've been gaming for years like I have. So it's really important to get other people involved in testing those things. Great, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's, would like to call attention for something that people think, especially gamification and games enthusiasts, right, like ourselves, we always have to be careful to say that games or gamification is not always the best learning solution. So it depends, like, again, it is, you have to come up with the problem. How are we going to change the behavior here, right? What do we need people to know and to do or don't do, and how can we achieve there? So games and gamification is one of the ways we do that. It's a very effective way if designed well. There is a difference, as you can see. These words there are in the most beautiful color, purple. You can say there are 3 things that you might have heard, and some people use them interchangeably. So just like to quickly pick on those. So gamification and ideas. What is gamification? Why is it different? How is it different from games, which is the second word?
Any ideas, dear audience? Öykü, perhaps you would like to join in? You wrote to the chat at least. The others, I don't know. They're still shy.
Yeah, it's fine. You can say, I don't have any idea, so it's fine. So I think games, we all have an idea what it is, although there are lots of academic discussion of defining games. But game is actually when it's something with, rules and people have to play. It can have boards, it can have cards, it can have different elements. It can have nothing of this. It can just be words. And we play games since childhood. Is one of the most efficient ways that children learn, is through play and games. So if you think of a game that you play in your life, there's rules. People are willing to participate and do, and so that's like a basic definition of games. There are other things, but that's what we need for now. But gamification is using elements, or like we call mechanics, or techniques of games, but not necessarily being a game per se. So it can be some things that hopefully we're going to talk more about this today, and then we are going to be able to pick up some of these. But I don't know, Michala, if you want to give an example of one gamification element.
Yeah, so just one thing I would add to the games point is about you're playing the game to achieve a goal. of some sort. So that's the main thing I've put in there. In terms of gamification, as you say, we take elements from games and we apply them to to work environments effectively. It doesn't have to be work, it can be other things as well. For example, I was speaking with my bookkeeper recently, and she was having trouble getting her son to do a particular thing, but he was into D&D. So we created this D&D character sheet so that he could level up on the skills that she wanted him to be doing. And that seems to have, at least helped and got a conversation started. So that's an example of gamification in the home. But when we're doing it in the workplace, it's usually in order for us to achieve certain work objectives for the business.
Yeah. So gamification, you're gonna be seeing some of the elements, and I wanted to point out, but like a concrete example is like what we started doing is like giving you choices. So in gamification, when you play games, you always have choices. Like, do I do this now? Or do I do this when I do that? And so one of the things is simply, very simple mechanism is giving people choices for them to choose, not only having a linear path that they can do. So anyway, we're going to be talking more about gamification. And also we're going to be talking about playful. Playful is still, doesn't necessarily use rules or mechanisms. So it's not a game or a gamification per se, but it still can be playful. And we're going to also try to do a little bit of the elements here and give you lots of suggestions on how can you apply. Sometimes gamification and games take longer to design well, to do well, that at the same time we're trying to people to have a little bit of fun at least, and to learn something is it takes a while to design a game or gamification well to achieve these both things. Because some people would say if it's just to learn and it's not fun, is it a game? But anyway, so playfulness is we can always spark a little bit of playfulness in trainings, and that's quicker thing to do, and it will help people to be more engaged. And engagement is one of the things that make learning more effective and more memorable. We also say like to stick more to people after the training is over. So these are the things we're going to talk about. Yeah.
So just giving some examples of what she's talking about in terms of playful elements.
Yeah, so we cannot hear them, by the way. I think you're pressing. It's cutting it off. Well, I cannot hear. I don't know if anybody heard.
Maybe can you hear it now? Here we go.
Yeah. So this is like a playful element that you can use, is having buzzers, ask people questions, and like having them not necessarily competing for the fastest one, but something to call attention. Or if they spot while I'm saying something, if you spot something that I say purposefully wrong, you can press it. So it doesn't always need to be there are several ways to do buzzer, not necessarily always like competition for the fastest thing. Okay. Yeah, so we can go now to some of the truths and myths that we're going to share. Yeah.
So it's a question for them, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah.
As to what facts or myths have you heard about gamification? What do you think it is before coming to this session? And again, come off microphone and share, or if you prefer, type in the chat.
Right. Yeah. It can be something that you don't know if it's actually a myth or a fact. Just put a sentence there. Things that you heard. Think of like the audience, leadership, neurodiversity, introverts, anything about gamification, specifically in training. Sorry.
Gamification is all about winning experience points. I think that's a myth that is like shared commonly.
Absolutely. The accumulation of points is something that really taps into the motivation of certain people who like sort of saving. And so that sense of progress as well is a really important thing with experience points. However, it is just one of a couple of hundred types of mechanics in gamification. So nice one to call out there. And actually our training is called Cybersecurity XP, exactly for that reason, the gamification element in there.
Yeah.
Here in the chat.
One of just picking up something there. One of the things that when we studying gamification, like the certification that Michala was sharing, there are hundreds of mechanics, and points, badges, and leaderboards are considered some low level of engagement. And we also trying to cater for different people. Not everybody is motivated by competition, for instance. Myself, I don't like competing with others, but I like to compete with myself. So if I see, did I improve my score from last time? That I like, but I'm not necessarily motivated by leaderboards. Other people are super motivated. I want to be here, her, he's, But so we're trying to do mechanics that apply for not only a certain type of people, but for different ones.
Yeah, and I'll just add very quickly to that for those who are interested on the sciencey bit of that. What we do is we match those motivations from people based on their RICE profile. So it's REISS motivation profile. There's 16 motivators, and what we do is we look at our audience and which of those motivators are we likely to see, and we try and design for all of those so everybody gets something out of the session. So what this one here, do you want to take this one, Anna, or shall I, for Chris?
Yeah, we can both do. So it's not for senior managers. They are far too serious to play games. Yeah, this is amazing. There's ones that really, like I say, we are playful animals since birth. And one of the things that we start as we become teenagers and then adults, we start playing less. And that's one of the, like I said before, playfulness is one of the most engaging ways and most effective ways to learn. So it is for everybody. It is important that, though, if you that you show the importance of gamification, because one of the things, they are far too serious of, I don't have time, I'm too busy doing other things here, that, playing is a waste of time. But so it is important that we show them all, the science that it actually contributes for learning and for behavior change. One thing that I would like to call, if you have senior leaders and all the type of staff as well, whoever is facilitating needs to be very careful for them not to dominate the game, because then if they say something, people tend to follow it, or also that they are not shy because, if I say something and I will look stupid. So the things, they need to be in a safe environment, everybody involved there, if you're mixing senior leaders.
I would agree. I think the orchestration is different at different levels of the organization.
Exactly.
I absolutely agree with that. And what you were just saying, Anna, reminded me of a particular session I was running of the instant response exercise. And the most senior person wanted to sort of go and say a little bit more than I'd invited them to say at that point. And I did actually have to sort of stop them and say, let's just hear from everyone else and then we'll come back to that. So it's really important to have a good, strong facilitator with these things. And that also goes to creating a psychological safety space at the start as well. And there's different ways of doing that. For us, we quite like fidget toys and things like that. But
we have the same challenge. I think we point out very clearly our game. You need to be a strong, capable, experienced practitioner to be able to take the game into the more senior levels, particularly because if you are challenged and you can't answer there and then obviously credibility suffers. So I think that is something about choosing the facilitators who use our games is really, really important.
Absolutely. And the other thing just to say about the senior leaders is, and again, it depends, different leaders have different approaches, but In some organizations, I've found that you can introduce this by stealth. And so just deliver the experience, and then they sort of realize afterwards, oh, so that's what gamification is. And actually, that was really effective. The other thing you can do is, because whilst we're interested in the fact that the science says gamification is really helpful and educational, what they're interested in is typically, if it's private sector, the bottom line, or if it's public sector or charity, then they're interested in, what differences it's actually going to make to help us improve things for our beneficiaries or our service users. So leaning into those things specifically when you're designing and explaining, this is how we do this, will also help make that difference and make it easier for people at senior levels to engage.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about later on how to apply the experience to the learner. And it might be that the best thing is not to do everybody together, but do like what we do is we have a specific training for senior managers and for leadership as well, because people are going to apply this to their job more or like in different ways, right? So senior managers and leadership, they own more stuff in terms of like they it's a different level. So we won't apply equally. So we try, if possible, it's not always possible, but to have different trainings with this. So that with these different types of audiences, so it applies more to what they do. Yeah. Michala is already replying to the gamification can measure learning. Oh yeah, that's whole thing. I haven't heard the specific of this one. Maybe if you have learning and then do gamification for simulations to see how people act. Yes, that can be something. I don't know if there's anything you want to pick up. Yeah.
I mean, there is, but as I say, I could talk for ages about this because it was one of the things I focused on in my level 3 project, actually, about the evaluation side of things. So all I'll say for now is, yes, there are methods, and it's really important to baseline your learners at the start so you can actually establish some form of difference and growth afterwards. But yes, Mert, maybe that's something we can put on the agenda for next year.
Gladly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that. So let's just quickly go through what we had there. So we
Sorry,
made
do you need to...
Go ahead.
Okay, so as Anna already mentioned, one of the biggest myths is that gamification is just points, badges, and leaderboards. And that has unfortunately given the gamification term a bit of a bad name. And the reason that people see it as that is because it's one of the easiest things for companies to apply and say, yay, we've done gamification. But as we know, a whole load of other methods, and that alone is not going to typically engage all the different learner motivations. And so you're not going to get those business results that you're looking for. In terms of the facts, I'm going to blow that up a little bit myself as well. Yeah, it is more than superficial rewards, absolutely. And what you're looking for with your use of gamification is to kind of tap into that intrinsic motivation for people. And then that is what will help drive that learning, the engagement, and ultimately what we're looking for, that behaviour change in terms of information handling to protect people's data. And we already covered about the definition, but just to read this one out, I think it's worth doing so. So it's the use of game-based mechanics, aesthetics, and game thinking to engage people, motivate action, and promote learning and solve problems in non-game contexts.
Where did that definition come from, please, Michala?
Yeah, so that definition was one that came from, oh God, what's his name now? I think it's Polish, UK, hold on, UK gamified guy. I can, if you want to leave your details or drop me a message on LinkedIn.
I've already linked in, yeah, I've just linked into you.
Yeah, I can send you the details of the guy who did the analysis and sort of arrived at that
That's
definition.
very powerful, because I've been looking for some academic or some other reference points when we're talking to clients, and I've been struggling to find any or enough.
Yeah, there are lots, as you rightly point out. And for me, this is the one that I think really encapsulates
Yes, brilliant.
what we're about scalability in terms of application of gamification to our learning experiences.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, definitely connect with us.
Yeah, I connected to you as well, Anna, just now.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So now let's play a little bit. Because of time, let's just do 4 of the cards. But let me explain what this ability savvy lords is. If you're from English-speaking country, you might have heard of this. This is inspired by the a traditional English language Christmas song. 10 lords are leaping. But anyway, so what we're trying to do here is that there are 10 lords, and each face a different digital danger and needs your help to land their leap safely. So the way it works, it can be solo, it can be in teams, it can be individual or individual competition. Another myth about games is they're all competitive, but I think at this level people know that we can also do co-op games as well. So let's do a mix and match here. And the way it works, like play, draw a card, it can be physical or you also have a version online, and complete the challenge on it. So there's a card with a challenge they complete, and then they turn the card to see if what is the outcome of that scenario, how well they did. And there's also a hygiene tip and a gamification insight linked to that scenario. So let's go for the first one. So we're just going to do a 4 cards now with you guys. So the very first one, let's do this cooperatively then. Let's have 10 seconds to come up. Yeah, Michala, I think you're going to have to read it for me.
So 10 seconds to come up with some scenarios of when you would actually need to lock your computer. So beat the countdown by naming lock screen moments. This lord must lock devices before tailgaters slip through the door. You have 10 seconds. Shout out 2 moments when you must lock your device, and do those around you agree?
Cigarette break.
Yeah,
On a train. Train or bus.
Yeah, good. Keep them coming.
Going to the bathroom.
What was that, Matt?
Going to the bathroom.
Yeah, I was going to say that, exactly that one, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We were aiming for 2 in 10 seconds, and we managed it cooperatively. We managed 3. Well done. So now we can turn the card.
Okay, so we have indeed successfully helped Lord Lockleaper land safely, and we have a cybersecurity hygiene tip here. So locking your device whenever you step away, even if it's just for a moment, does stop opportunistic access. And then we've got a gamification tip here, and you can see how that simple use of a countdown timer actually turned a routine habit into a quick, energetic mini challenge because you're doing something against the clock. So that's one example.
And then explains, and then the hygiene explains why is this important, and it can even like reflect with them the why, what can happen if you not unlock when you go to the toilet, when you're in the train, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's worth just mentioning very quickly here that everything that we do around gamification is very much using the games to facilitate discussion and share experiences. So that's one of the real powerful things as well about these. Okay, sorry, next one. Do you want me to do this one as well?
Yeah, I cannot read that. It's too small for me, please.
Okay, so we have Lord Uncertain Sharer. Share data wisely or risk a leak. This lord has received a data subject access request from a former squire asking for any records, emails, or notes about them from the last 2 years, including reviews and messages about their departure. With a partner or an AI LLM, decide, share, redact, or refuse, and be ready to say why. So if you'd like to have a chat about that.
Now, yeah, for this situation, what would you do?
Well, first of all, I want verification they are who they say they are. They could be someone acting on their behalf, someone who's just nosy for their information, could be someone claiming to be a legal advocate on their behalf who isn't a legal advocate.
Yeah, absolutely good.
And I would, like, after verifying it, partially approve it, because there might be other people data there as well. So we need to redact those, etc.
Yeah, good.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, the idea of your profession, we don't need to discuss the whys. We're just showing examples. So if you want to turn the card, Michala, but yeah, great. You can see that's just a simple scenario. Gave you like questions to ask and possible solutions. Yeah. So then we would go on to explain again what would happen to each one. And the best option here in the scenario would be redact, and then the cybersecurity tip relate and the gamification tip as well, how you can apply this in different contexts. Yeah. Okay.
And the key thing about that again being that was a cooperative puzzle. Yeah. Okay, next one. So we now have Lord Link Lurker. Choose the right action for a suspicious email and win the leap. So this Lord must choose the safest way to handle a suspicious message. Help them decide whether they should report it or if it's legit. And I should put the QR code on here for you to make it easier. Can you all see that link? Should we drop that into the chat, Anna?
Yeah, the link I'm trying to go. So that's one of the things I had prepared, but then my computer shut and I don't have anything open anymore.
Let me just drop that into the chat then. 1 second.
Yeah, that's my work. I have one here. Please see if you see a green arrow with instructions and next.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So you can like have 10 seconds or so to do that.
I was rather play with that, and I've given the wrong one anyway. So yeah. She's the one that Anna put in.
Well, I'm definitely not going to click on anything. I'm going to advise IT, I would imagine, or delete it.
So this one you're trying to see if you would report as suspicious or if you'd act on it because it's a legit email.
And there's just, I think it's a sample of 4 examples for you just to work through there.
Yeah, I think it's 5.
Yes, there were 5. There were 5, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so again, this is an idea for you to discuss the red flags on an email, which ones are legit, which one would report and why. So yeah, so if you turn the card, Michala, please.
Yeah.
Like I said, with you guys, we don't need to discuss. We just wanted to give you like ideas. So yeah. Again, the same thing in the back of the card. And let's do the very last one. The last one is also, I mean, you can make this competitive, whoever is faster or whoever is more accurate is probably best than faster in this particular scenario. So now let's see whoever thinks, when I say yes, you can type what you think the answer is, okay? So solve the riddle and take action. A maiden of memory, silent and still. I cop your treasures whenever you will. When robbers encrypt and demand you must pay, I open my coffers and bring back your day. What am I? And how do you use me to beat the thieves? what is this riddle about? Holy day. So you can type from now.
Ransomware, backups.
Okay, let's see. Let's see who won. Murder Grace.
I 1 moment. Oh, there we go. Right, ready? Go. And the answer is.
If you write close and name it, we're reporting, let it clear on breach. I cannot read that.
Actually, I think I may have put the wrong one on here. Apologies. That should say backups.
Yeah, I think that's the back of another card. Sorry, but yeah, it is backup. So this way you can make a little bit competition along. So it is talking about backups. This is what it does. The scenario is about ransomware. Chris is just saying how can you protect yourself with backups, and then you could go on with the discussion and if you should pay or not ransomware, etc. I'm not sure. Am I still here?
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
Yep.
Sorry,
Okay.
things. Okay.
Yeah, I think Michala was frozen there. I didn't know if I was. Yeah, but yeah. So again, just quick that, but we want to give you more ideas. So let's skip the next one, Michala. And
just to say, if you would like to play through all 10 of those cards, you can do so for free on Tabletopia if you want to scan that QR code or note it down below.
I cannot see. I think you're frozen. Oh yeah, now it is. Now it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Or we can put the link as well. Like, let me put the link here. So, yeah, I'll put the link, and then you can move on.
What is Tabletopia?
So Tabletopia is like an online version of a board game table where you can log in and all sit around this virtual table and move bits around and you just play a game. So as you can see in that image, for example, we've got on the right-hand side some coins for the points, and you can pick those up and distribute them. We've got a stack of cards in the middle where you start with the first card. You can also see the rules are also out on the table as well. So it's a nice interface that is relatively straightforward for people to just pick up and play. There's a couple of little, keyboard things, tricks like that. But yeah, it is a really great platform to just be able to engage people where, you can't always get people around a physical table. Lots of people are working remotely or different countries. And so something like Tabletopia, where they can just join from a web link, it is a great way to still bring this sort of experience to them.
I bought Board Game Simulator. Yeah, online.
That's
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, that's our standard. Okay, next, Michala, please. And we have another question for you. What gamification techniques have we used so far? You can speak, you can type, whatever you like.
Maybe a technique can be creating a scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. Storytelling. Perfect. Well done.
Yeah, the scenarios are great because you're combining different things. You're combining the storytelling with the choices that they have to make, and quite often simulating, that real life scenario that people have to face.
Actually, can you go? No, sorry. I was just reminded of the cards. Then we have the first Lord was. We shouted like moments that you should lock your screen, and then we had the decision, redact, share, deny, checking emails to see red flags, and solving riddles.
And these are all different things that you could sort of weave together as well into one cohesive narrative to make some training more interesting for people. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll just move on a moment.
Yeah. Okay, so we combine some of these techniques in our hacker approach. We call hacker with two C's. This is how we do training and using some of these elements. And we are going to whiz through this so we can show you more examples. But the H is for human-centered. Sometimes we go from the content, right? We say, oh, people need to do this or not do this or learn this. But we're all humans and we need to focus on the human. So if you remember, the first thing we did is ask you, what is your challenge? What would be a gene wish come through, right? So we have as point of start what people know, what they want, what they can do, and then work from there, because this fosters behavior change. And then we have the A for active. So trainings that are highly active are more engaging, more effective, because we always learn more by doing stuff. So as you can see, we ask you questions, ask you to make choices. So it's active. Using storytellers is a good way as well for people to bring their imagination. Michala asking you to do things, to close the eyes. So all of this is making choices, replying to questions, making it more active, and also simulations, all of this as from people. Okay, and then that's the A. And then you have the first C, which is for change. Again, rather than solely sharing information, telling people what to do or not, we actually what you need for them, to be more privacy and secure conscious. We need them to change their behaviors, to do or not do stuff. So that should be our focus, rather than solely imparting information, and for them to have a way to practice that. So we saw a little bit snippet of one of the games we use, which is like they spot the red flags. So we're talking about, emails, phishing emails, and also they have an opportunity to actually practice spotting red flags in an email. And then you have the other C.
Customized.
Which is customized, which I didn't have much time to do now, but if you know your audience, and can you do something that is more customized to them? Because if it is customized, it is how they're going to apply. So if you're talking to a bunch of people who work in finance and you give examples of educational, that's not to apply to them. So customize as much as you can. If you know your audience better, you can give examples from their life. Like now, we know Michala just moved to Norway. So I could, if she was my staff, I would say, so Michala, now, did you remember to change your password or to do X, Y, and Z? Or how you're setting up your internet in your new home office? Is there anything you need to be aware from, etc., etc.? And then the E, the hacker approach, is the engaging. Again, is not just because it's nice to be engaging, but it's because research shows that we learn and retain more when we are interested in having fun. So gamification is a way to engage people. There are other playful ways. We have one of these slides with lots of examples. But make people engage with the content. Okay, and then finally the R is the rationale, which we mentioned before, is always explain the why. Don't only tell people to do this and unlock your screen or door. We have to explain the why. We are more prone to act when we understand that this is not just a random rule. There is a consequence. And we might think that people know, they know why they shouldn't click an email. Do they? What are the consequences? What happened? Can we give facts? Can we give something? Can somebody share an example that happened to them just by clicking on one thing, etc., etc.? Okay, so that's our hack approach. And repeat, because change behavior takes time and it requires constant reinforcement. So one training would not think like, one privacy or security training and then that's done. No. Well, as well know from our person, like changing habits takes time, isn't it? So we need to keep reminding people of this. Okay, so some examples that we do something called cyber Cluedo. Give me a thumbs up if you've played Cluedo or Clue or Detective, depends on the country.
Yeah, there's at least one there. So
yeah, okay, let's see. But it's also like in the UK they say a whodunit or like a murder mystery approach. So people are working cooperatively trying to solve a problem, a security problem. So there's a story there, and then there are clues and questions for them to sort, and each group has different clues, so they all come up with theories or and then they help each other eliminate. So one group has an answer that helps eliminate the other one, and then come up with what is going on, like a Cluedo. You eliminate the suspects. There's also always is very important to have the reflection. The evidence are the clues I was talking about. Like, what does this mean? What is this? What do you think? And very important to play test as well, like Michala said, because we're always going to find some issues that need to improve. People interpret things different ways. And it's very important also to be inclusive. It's not because we love gamification that everybody will do, especially neurodiverse and introverts may have difficulties with gamification. So it's very important that we try to include them. Don't put anybody on the spot to answer. And we can always use humors, props, and AI to help us.
Oh, she
like,
froze.
so there's some hair stuff. I think you froze.
Okay.
Can you go to the next slide, please? I'm sorry, I'm wheezing through the, like, we have 3 minutes and not time for questions, but we can also ask if you have any questions now. The next slide is about humor and playfulness. I don't think it is showing yet, but
it is on my screen.
Yeah, mine.
You're frozen to us, but if not, I'll start sharing my because now I have the PowerPoint open.
I think Chris said he was seeing it.
Yeah, we can see it.
So it's just frozen from me. Okay, so just thank you. So yeah, insert humor in the stories and in the clues. AI is great to make puns, wordplays, dad jokes. Animals are a great source of puns as well. You can also use cultural acceptable rivalries, such as, dog and cats. That's very UK one. Tea and coffee, or very UK one as well. The scone, if it's the jam, and the cream, if it's on top or not. So if you have to organize by teams, for instance, you can say team cat, team dog, or tea and coffee. So there's all sources, and also football, very sources on other cultural things to play with. I mean, this is very UK reality. Is the very British problems, weather and forecasts. These are kind of safe jokes and safe things to do. We also have some things that we found out was not a hacker or cyber attack, but also an intern. We were an intern, made mistakes. All these kind of things that are everybody talks and jokes about them anyway. So some sources of
kind of like the universal truths almost. Yeah.
So
okay.
I know we have 1 minute, so if you need, I don't know if it's best for us to.
Yeah, so question. I'm happy to, I know you've got a hard stop, Anna, but I'm happy to stay and go through these examples or take questions for anyone who is at stay on. Matt, do you want to make that decision?
Because we don't have a hard deadline, so we can go on if people are willing to go on.
I unfortunately have to leave, but it's been a really great session. I'll definitely follow up with you, Michala and Anna.
Lovely. Thank you for your participation as well. It's been great.
Thank you, Chris. As always, it was a pleasure having you.
Bye, Matt. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay, and just wondering about the others who are on the call here. Would they like to me to carry on with some more examples? Or
I would be happy to carry on with more examples.
That's the spirit. All right, then. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll continue, Michala, because I mean, everything's frozen for me anyway for some reason.
Well, thanks very much, Anna. It's been really, really good having you here today. So catch up later.
Thank you,
Anna. Yeah, happy to connect with anyone. Sorry, I have to dash. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye. Okay, so one of the key things that you can do is take existing sort of games and reimagine them. So you're not starting completely from scratch. So hopefully you're familiar with the game Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that is on TV, and they've always got that tension in the way they ask things. And so this was actually one of the very first games that I reimagined. And in this, I was using some video footage from the Information Commissioner Office website that they made available. and then asking questions about, what are the mistakes and things. And again, using those answers as an opportunity to trigger discussion. And that could be amongst the whole audience with one of those lifelines, or it could be like 50-50. And that whole element means that people already know how to play. They already know what to expect. The big difference that I did here was that I flipped the scores. So instead of going from 0 to £1 million, it was actually going from a fine of £500,000, as it was back then, and reducing it down to 0 if you could with those correct answers. And another way that this was used effectively was getting different cohorts to actually compete against each other to see who can actually get to the least. And then you can add in a tournament or lucky dip for whoever actually, all the cohorts that successfully reach 0 to then go on and win other prizes. So you can combine all these things as well. It's not just kind of like one little thing by itself. And then more recently, I don't know if it's easy to see that, I also changed it up a little bit by using real fines. So we have that huge one at the bottom there, and then reducing it down. But again, every single example there is giving the opportunity to talk and discuss about what went wrong, why they were fined, etc., and what they can do in their organisation to make sure that doesn't happen to them. So that's the reimagined one.
So the reimagined one, Michala, are they just about like conversation starters? Are you using it like that, or like is there like a trivia sort of thing there as well?
It is the trivia thing as well there. So I don't know if you can see that question very clearly. Let me just read it out to you. So this one says, Peter took files containing sensitive personal information home to email Lauren the information she needed. Was he right to do this? And there were 4 options there. And in this particular screenshot, the person has taken a 50-50 to remove 2 of the wrong answers. And then they have to make a decision between, in this case, C and B, and B was the correct answer. So do you remember what we said about active learning earlier?
Yep.
What we tend to do is we don't teach the content. We have people explore and discover the content. So they engage in this question, they try and figure out the answer as to, based on the knowledge that they've got at the moment. And then once they've done that, that's then the opportunity for us to unpick and add in a little bit of the teaching at that point. But by getting them to actually engage first, it means they're more bought into what comes after in terms of that knowledge.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Great question. Thank you for that. Okay, and then the other thing you can do, and this is much simpler, is to just reskin content. So Snakes and Ladders is one of the games that's been around for thousands of years, and we took it and turned it into Cybersecurity Awareness Edition. And again, I've done different versions of this over the years, and this particular one was looking, I think, at password safety. And so you have, as you would imagine, if you're doing a good behaviour and you land on a ladder, you get to go up the ladder. And if you land on a snake head and it's a behaviour that you're doing that isn't so great, then you slide down. And again, because people know how to play already, they know the rules, it's really easy for people to sort of pick up. And again, it's a great one for, say, the old Data Privacy Day, for example, and having people sit around in their little teams playing together. And then it always, again, triggers discussion. And it's triggering the discussion that gets their curiosity going, which is, again, how we're looking at changing the behaviour to help them understand things. Any questions on that one?
Crystal clear on my end.
Okay, let me just put the chat back up so I can see if anything does come up with that. Okay, moving to the next one. So I think somebody asked earlier about evaluations and assessments. Now, you can use, as you'd expect, standard quizzes to do that. And Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is really focused on the teaching part. In this particular one, for anyone, I don't know if you'll know Blockbusters, it's maybe quite a specific British TV show from back in the 80s, 90s, where students, sixth form college students, would be in two teams. There'd be one person from a school on one team by themselves, and then there'd be two people from another place competing together against the single person. The single person had to try and join up all the hexagons from top to bottom, so they were white, and then the other two needed to go left to right and join up 5, which makes sense because there's 2 brains. So what we did here is said, okay, well, it's 2 teams. So immediately, blue team defenders and red team attackers. From a cybersecurity point of view, that's, think about blue hats and red hats. Well, black hats, I should say, in this case. But what we've done here is we use, you might just about to see that. Let's say somebody chooses the letter V, and they say, I'll have a V, please, Michala. I then read that card, but if they're on the red team, then I read their hint from their perspective. And then if we're on the blue team and they're asking, I'll read the blue hint from their perspective. And then in both cases, it's actually the same answer. It's just about making it relevant and tailoring, as we talked about earlier. So this one is really more about an assessment. We use it as a test to see have they actually absorbed the stuff we've been talking about previously. And
nice.
Then
that was interesting, Michala.
Yeah. And then the next one, Trivial Pursuit. Again, a game known around the world and very frustrating in some respects. But what we've done is we've reskinned this one. And again, from an assessment point of view, where you've got different categories, everyone's familiar with the different prize, and you ask the question, and then you just pick from those 4 answers. So again, it's standard, people recognize it, they know what to do without having to spend ages learning the rules, and then they either are reinforcing knowledge that they've learned from a session, or if they're, say, playing it by themselves, or maybe as a family at home, then they're actually educating themselves in playing it. So these are just some of the different ways that you can create games quite quickly. You can, of course, always create things another way. And I just wanted to very quickly explain that this one's inspired by a game called Stories and Wisdom. And we've got a data protection version that I'm just finishing up and will hopefully be able to share with you shortly. So you start with a prompt card and you have the first part of a statement. And then you give people cards with options on how they might respond to that statement. So would anyone like to just pick one of those?
Let's say A.
A? Okay, great, thank you. So I find security gets in my way when I've been asked to do something urgently. So why might that be the case? What memory perhaps do you have where that has triggered that for you? Do you have any sort of story around that you can share with us?
I guess most of us have. It's important to be secure, but getting those security steps also creates a lack of time sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
One particular example was our beloved Anna just trying to get on this call.
Yes, absolutely. And all we've done there is very simple, prompt responses, but we then again got the opportunity to dig into what people share with their examples. And this particular one is great for let's say you are struggling to engage a particular group and you're not sure why they insist on carrying on doing something the way they've always done it, instead of adopting some new behaviour that you're looking for them to do. You can use this way to actually, in a safe environment, unpick and discover the real reasons as to why they're not doing something. And then as you facilitate that conversation, and again, you can do multiple statements, obviously, then it's a great way of helping them understand and unpick, and just the sharing of stories, that social collective learning, which is one of the fundamental things for us as human beings. Any questions on that one? Okay, I'll move on then. I've just mentioned about social learning, so I won't dwell on that one. And yeah, ask me anything you would like before I show you some resources.
So you mentioned your badge at the beginning, Michala. Perhaps I think like hearing a couple sentences about that would be very beneficial to the audience. As you already sent me the links in our previous talks, I'm aware of it, but I think like that's something like you should get if you want to be in this domain and doing gamification, right?
Yes. So one of the things, if you think about any game design, whether it's board games, computer games, whatever it is, there's actually a whole lot of design work, as Chris mentioned earlier, that goes into that. And so what I did was I did a course with a company called Sententia, which is led by Monica Cornetti in the US. And the community is just absolutely amazing. From right across the world, there's an annual conference called GamiCon 48V, 48 hours straight of conference content from presenters around the world. And they have a particular system, a particular method of how to design. So they teach you how to actually design a gamified course that is effective when it comes to actually achieving those business objectives. And that's where I also learned about the Reese motivators and how you match those to different game mechanics. It was really eye-opening. So I highly recommend Sententia. And they actually do a free, on the first and third Friday of every month, they do a free, what they call a game garage, where you can just turn up and listen to a bit of a talk and then have a bit of a play in whatever it is that they're exploring that particular day. So yeah, I highly recommend them. And there's 3 levels of certification if you want to do that.
So fingers crossed, let's get them on the village next year, Michala.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I can absolutely speak to them for you about that.
I would appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Excellent. So key takeaways then, just to go back over, we've got reimagine. What could you actually take from a game and do differently? Taking a game and just applying a little layer over it, like we did Snakes and Ladders and the Trivial Pursuit. And thinking about, well, what have others done? Maybe they've done this in the medical field and we could apply it to data protection, for example. And I'd really encourage you to reach out to your colleagues in the organisation, because there are going to be creatives there, there are going to be gamers there. And also, actually, your video and media people also are really helpful here, because they can come together and help create something fun with you, whether it's, just to give you an example, a competition where everyone gets to create their own little video illustrating one of the top 10 behaviours that you want them to follow, for example, or making that into a competition. That's a great way, again, of finding out, who's actually got these skills that would help, create engaging content in your organisation. And just to reiterate about engaging people, because it's all about people at the end of the day. Technology can absolutely help, but at the end of the day, it's about people. And we need their behaviours to change. So that's why we focus on effective ways of doing that. We've got a free resource for you, which is 7.5 ways to add playfulness to security awareness training, but it equally applies to data protection training. So that's there for you. And also, we have our YouTube channel with about 30 odd, 40 odd videos on there with various tips and some things specific around data protection as well. And of course, I've just got to mention Valentine's Day is coming up. So if you have an IT person in your life and not sure what to get them, then do take a look at our store.
They
And-
look lovely.
Pardon?
They look lovely.
Thank you. And yeah, finally, just say thank you very much, especially for staying over for the additional examples. You can reach out to both Anna and myself at LinkedIn, or our email addresses are there. So thank you. And again, any questions, just reach out to us on LinkedIn. Happy to answer.
Thank you, Michala. Thank you so much. I think like this was one of the like the most core spiritual events of the village with regard to what we're trying to bring to the world as a community. And I think like again I said it at the beginning, but like you're already become one of the core pillars of the village landscape for me with all your support this year. And it's great knowing you, and I think we're gonna do much bigger and better things next year village as well. So thank you for your wisdom and your time. I think like people really appreciate it, so they wanted to continue. I think that's a great benchmark to check out if it's interesting or not. So Öykü, Sude, thank you for staying this late as well.
Yes, thank you. It was great to see the other examples. And also thank you, Michala, for the sources and the Tabletopia link.
Excellent. Have fun with that.
We sure do. And for those who are interested, we have another session in 40 minutes, practical privacy engineering with Krupali. So if you liked what you're seeing here, feel free to join us there as well. And that's all from Privacy Village today. And take care, guys. Ciao.
Thank you very much, Matt.
Bye.